How was y'all food?
Very good.
This table didn't say nothing. They must have. They like.
Because originally I was going to go in October. So I started looking before then.
Is that your first time over there?
Yeah. Well, no, this is my first thing. I went over there for work.
Well, they didn't have one in October. They had but they're outside. They didn't have October.
All right. So we were talking about judicial versus non-judicial. So non-judicial means there is no court process involved, no judicial process involved. Everybody understand that? So those are the tax liens that the county takes directly to the courthouse steps. There's no judge involved in that process. Judicial are the tax liens where the county decides to do the foreclosure themselves. Everybody got that? Understand that? So if the county is doing the foreclosure process themselves, they have to incur that cost. So those properties typically are a little higher than the other properties. But with judicial, or what is called judicial and ream, these properties, since they've already gone through the foreclosure process, there's no right of redemption. So you're going to typically get the deed 60 to 90 days after the auction, and then you basically have a right to possess that property. It still has a unmarketable title, so you still need to quiet the title. That's going to be most of them anyway. You're still going to want to quiet the title. All right. Any questions about judicial and non-judicial? Everybody understand that?
Are they typically still done on the first Tuesday? Are they both done at the same?
It depends on the county. Some counties, because once they do the foreclosure, it's kind of like a county-owned property. So some counties will sell you these directly. Some will have a sale for it. Some, you can call the county and see if they have any for sale. You can buy it right out directly to them. But most counties are still going to have an auction for it because they want to get the highest bid. All right. Any more questions on this one? All right. First investment. Who questions was this? So,
General investment.
So what should your first investment be, right? Again, this is, anybody else had anything they wanted to add to judicial versus non-judicial? It's not just me who could talk about this. No?
Pretty much something.
Okay. So what should your first investment be in real estate? So, this is another personal preference question. So it's really kind of hard to say. So what is your investment goal?
For me, right now, it's just more so building buy and hold properties.
Build up buy and hold properties?
Portfolio for buy and hold.
Okay. And you want to buy and hold properties for what? This may be obvious, but I just want to get an idea.
Just for that passive rental
Income. Okay. So then what we would have to do is look at what other real estate investments could bring you that passive income to see which one would be best for you. Obviously, we like tax liens because they're a lower price. I mean, right? Even if they get bid up, it's still typically lower than if you bought it on the market, right? So what are some other things in real estate that could bring us passive income? Self-storages. Self-storages. Do y'all know what self-storages are? Okay. What else?
Private investment.
Huh?
Private investment.
Private. What do you mean by that? What does that mean?
Lending on projects.
Lending and getting a return on your money? Okay. Is that the kind of residual income you want?
I like that gap funder. My gap funder, she loaned me $17,000. I made a bed investment deal on my first flip, fix and flip. The deal was she loaned me $17,000. She would get $7,000. She wanted to get $2,000. Use the private money investment.
So we got tax liens. We got self-storages. Multi-family. What was it? We just said private lending. Multi-family. What else?
Office buildings.
Anybody? Anything else?
Oh, I know that's right. That's what I'm doing.
Anything else?
Strip centers.
Strip malls. Anything else?
Would Airbnb go into one of those? Short term.
Room and house. That shouldn't be your first investment though. We can cross that out. Okay, so you want to buy and hold, you want passive income. So let's see. Self-storages is good because you can typically get people to owner finance them. So you don't have to find your own finance, and typically it's a lot of older people that have self-storages. They ready to get rid of it, so they'll say, okay, you can buy it and I'll finance it for you. So that's a good one, and you don't have to worry about tenants. I mean, you do, but not the same. They don't live there. So this is a really good one.
Buying no self-storages, is it like?
Drop it out. Like you go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, go ahead. It's a mastermind.
Well, for me, when I took a class, you pretty much drive for those mom and pop shops.
Okay.
You know, typically those ones that probably don't even have a sign. You know, in those cities. So you pretty much drive one day, and you just pretty much look for those small self-storages, pretty much ones that don't need AC, just pretty much.
All right, private lending or notes. I put notes with that. So typically, well, they are a little bit different. So private lending is like you want to make an investment. I loan you the money. We negotiate the terms, and then I am getting my money back plus interest.
That's what I've been doing for like the past year.
Now this one, the income is passive, but it's not necessarily perpetual residual income. Like once this runs out, you got to go do it again. So is that the kind of income you want?
I mean, I'm doing it now, so I want to branch out and like maybe looking, in addition to doing that, maybe look at, something else.
Okay. Now, notes could be a longer term solution, which is,
I just got into a longer term. Usually, this one is, the one that I just got into is a year long. Usually I don't do it for that long because I like returning the most back into the next deal. So right now I'm just getting the quarterly returns. It made sense for me to do the most to do.
okay. So some notes you can do a 30-year note. Like if you do mortgages, like let's say you have a property and you want to sell it to somebody, you may decide to own or finance it.
What's a note?
A note is a mortgage, or a note is when I loan you some money and you sign a contract saying that you're going to pay me back. That's a promissory note, and it's in short form it's called a note. Huh?
I was asking, is that good enough or good enough?
Is that the same thing as private lending?
It is, but one is, let's say I loan you some money to do a fix and flip. So that's going to be a year term. This one is I'm loaning you the money. I own a property, right? It could be owner finance where I own a property. And instead of you coming to me with the money or you going to the bank and getting the money to pay me, I say that you can buy the property from me and you can make payments. So I'm like the bank. Also, let's say I created that with you. I could sell that note that you and I created, your mortgage note, to somebody else. I'm gonna sell it to Charlie. So let's say you've agreed to pay me $100,000 back. Let me draw it out. All right. So, so this house is $100,000. I'm selling it for $100,000, right? You come to me, you say, I really want to buy this house, but my credit is not good. Would you be willing to seller finance the house to me, right? I say yes. So then we create a promissory note, right, where you agree to pay me $100,000 back plus 8% interest, right? So you move into the house and you're paying me whatever this monthly note is, right? And then Charlie is down here. I say, Charlie, I have a promissory note that's face value is $100,000. Now you haven't given me $100,000. Right? I'm just getting monthly payments. If maybe you put a down payment down. But I say, Charlie, I'll sell this note to you for $20,000. Just give me $20,000 and then you can get the payments on here. Right? So then now Charlie, his deal is not as good as mine because he's had to pay some money for it. But now he's going to get these payments for 30 years. So that's how notes work.
Now, can he go up on that interest?
No, not if it's not in the promissory note. Now, if it's in the promissory note that he could do that, then yeah.
So it kind of sounds like getting a mortgage, me going to buy a house but not through a bank.
Yeah, that's exactly what it is.
I'd like to ask someone that. Do you own the house? How long you had your house?
It's up to you.
Have you ever received something in the mail that said, don't pay D, pay Bank of America now? Yeah.
I don't check my mailbox.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's exactly what happened. So
So your bank,
They sold it to
when you
somebody.
bought your house, you signed a promissory note, and they sold that note to another bank. So now you don't pay Chantel. Now you pay Charlie. Whatever agreement
Whatever
they
we
came
had
up with, you don't know.
with Chantel.
You just know you got to pay
This person.
this person.
Okay, so how does that benefit?
Fit Charlie?
No, me, boy.
As the investor.
Because you said private investing, and then you, in parentheses, you put no. So it sounds like me, Royal, I'm just going to find a house to live in.
Right, that was just example we used so you can see how it works. In essence, you're going to be Charlie or Chantel.
Oh.
Either you have something that you can sell.
I got 20 grand and I'm saying, hey Chantel, listen, you want to sell that promissory note you got with Alicia, I'll give you 20 grand.
Right.
And now Alicia's paying me that.
Exactly.
And you got passive income. Basically what she was trying to say.
I got
Passive
you.
income coming in.
I understand. Okay.
And it's a 30-year note.
It's all it's gonna be. Got it. Understood.
You know, let's say I was getting $800 a month. So now Charlie is going to get $800 a month on this $20,000 that he spent. And then at some point that's going to be paid, and then the rest is profit for him.
It's not short.
But the face value of that was 100,000. What if
Right.
it down to 80,000?
Huh?
The face value isn't 100,000 anymore, right? If me, I've been paying you for that 100,000 and now I'm paid off. Now I'm down to 80,000. So now the face value
Right.
is 100, right?
Right.
It's whatever it is at the time of becoming a purchase.
Right.
Charlie only gets
But it's still working. Charlie can see paid too.
Right.
And the house is still working.
Right. And so for me, it would only make sense if I've already gotten my money out of this house, got what I wanted to sell it for this.
Yeah.
All right. So what I was saying about these two is that private money lending is more of a short-term thing. So it's not perpetual. Like, it's going to stop at some point and then you're going to have to do it again.
Yeah.
So if you're looking for, it is passive income because you don't have to go work for it, but it's not fully residual income. Whereas notes is closer to that than lending. So multifamily, y'all understand that, right? Office building, mobile home is just another form of rental. Strip mall, short-term rental. So these are all rentals. So ultimately, it's going to come down to preference, right? Because everything that's a rental is going to require more work, right? Than, let's say, like a self-storage. So it really depends on, again, what you can stomach. Again, your pocket may put you in tax lien, right? Or if you can't do that, if your credit is not good, you may look into self-storage to see if somebody would owner finance or seller finance that for you.
Did you sell and finance that fund?
If I had one, I don't have a self-storage to seller finance. I'm looking for somebody to seller finance one to me.
I wholesale one too.
Okay, all right. All right, with seller financing on it?
Yeah.
Okay. All right, so, man, I lost my train of thought, something I was gonna say. Self-storage, tax liens. So, to your question, y'all heard of lease purchase?
Yes.
Right? So, and which could be very much like owner finance. So, a lot of times, with owner financing, a person is going to have to put down, some people call it a down payment, and then some people call it a non-refundable option, right? This one, if the person, let's say it was 5,000. Option consideration. Let's say they're both 5,000. This one, the down payment or an lease purchase, this may end up being refundable if the person doesn't go through with the deal. But then if you instead call it a non-refundable option consideration, it's not refundable. So, you know, you're going to owner finance that land. I'm going to owner finance that land for Royal. I'm going to ask Royal for $5,000, $10,000, $20,000 in rock, right? So if Royal defaults, he doesn't make his payments, I don't have to refund that money to him.
Usually you won't go beyond like 3.5% of the purchase price for your in-rock.
You know, that depends on, who told you that, a real estate agent?
No,
An investor?
as I took, yeah. I think it's 3.5 or 5%, something like that. That they won't go above.
You know, there's no law,
Yeah.
you know, that says that, but that will put you in a range of what people typically pay for a down payment. But what I would consider is that most of the time when a person is needing owner finance, they usually have bad credit. So I want more than the average down payment because there's a higher risk that you're going to default. So then I've done all of that and then I got to find somebody else to do it again, which is not necessarily a bad thing. I've actually had that happen before. You know, I had a house, I decided to do this with the person, and you know, one day, you know, they didn't pay rent, and I went to the house and it was empty. I was like, where did they go? And I tried to call them, couldn't get in contact with them, and I was like, dang. And they had paid $10,000 now. Yes, they had been over like there for a year, and they just up and left. Yep. So I was like a little stunned, but I wasn't mad. And I ended up not doing it again. I ended up keeping that house. So, all right, let's see what's next. What's next? So, I mean, I really can't tell you. These are just kind of your options, but if I had to start over and do it again, it would be one of these first two. And probably it would be self-storage, right? Because it's something that you probably could do more immediate and you can get owner financing for it. There's no tenants involved, you know, so I would probably do this one.
And if you guys find any self-storages, I'm looking to buy self-storages, so please reach out to me if you find any self-storages. Okay?
All right. Buy and hold or interest with tax liens, right? And a lot of these questions are personal preference, but we could look at, you know, we could walk through it, the advantages and disadvantages. Buy and hold, interest. All right, so y'all gonna get work this time. Y'all should know this. All right, so what's an advantage of buy and hold? Residuals. What else?
You can pull equity out the property.
Which is one thing I wanted to mention to you when you say you couldn't decide what you wanted to do. We're gonna talk about that. Remind me to talk about that. Pull equity out. What else?
Well, I guess residuals, that's kind of the same as steady income.
Yes.
Okay, yeah.
Larger portfolio. Tax portfolio.
Bigger portfolio? Okay.
Leverage your portfolio. Balance property.
Leverage, portfolio, bigger portfolio. I'm gonna add one in here, appreciation.
Tax.
Tax benefits.
Tax benefits. Now, it's one thing y'all ain't saying that I'm waiting for.
Generational.
Woo, girl! If y'all ain't say that, I was gonna be like, assets you can pass down, generational wealth. All right, what's some negatives of buy and hold? Woo, tenants.
Not having the property occupied.
Vacancy.
Yeah.
Upkeep. I'm gonna add one in here. Evictions. Huh? Taxes. Any other negatives?
Are you a tired landlord?
Am I what?
Like a tired landlord?
Tired?
Yeah.
What that mean?
Like, so in wholesaling, like a lot of people are selling lists of tired landlords. Like, you're tired of being a landlord.
Oh no. I mean, not to the point of, yeah, not distressed. No.
Like they're cashing in.
No.
Yeah.
A lot of people, that's their end goal too. But for me, my end goal is this right here. So, you know, it's no secret that I have a rooming house, so that gets on my nerves. Yes, because I don't have. It's not a property that could be property managed by a real estate agent because it's a different mindset.
So, would you be willing to sell that property?
No.
Okay. Okay.
No. Not at the moment. Okay. Man. Oh, so it's one thing in here I haven't heard yet. On this side. Depreciation. All right. What else? Liability. Right? All right. So if y'all think of some more over here, let me know. I'll put them up there. All right. Now, what about interest? All right. Guaranteed. All right. How about a no tenants? What else? What's good? What do we like about that interest? Compound. It could also be residual. Do y'all understand how that could be residual? Long as you keep going back to invest in it, invest it. So let's draw it out. Same thing as getting a property. So like, let's say year 1, year 2, year 3. Right. hopefully y'all can read that. So let's say in we ain't gonna buy any joints. So in February we buy 2, March we buy 2, April we don't buy any, May we get a good month, we buy 3, June we buy 2, right? So let's say in March this one redeems, you know, this one redeems, this one redeems, right? But then we got these that's gonna carry over to the next year. These carry over, these carry over, that one carry over. Those carried over, but let's say, you know, we're buying some more. Right, this one is redeemed, this one is redeemed. Some of the ones we carried over now are redeemed. This one is redeemed over here, right? Moving to the next year, we do it again. Right, so you know, the ones that wasn't redeemed move over, move over, move over. And then so what you'll have is, in your pipeline, you'll always be receiving this interest, and then you'll be reinvesting it, getting more interest. So you'll have the compound effect, but you'll have a steady stream of income as long as you're doing this on a regular basis. As long as you're picking properties that's going to redeem, because you may end up with a house instead of a redemption, right? So it's like a pipeline of interest coming in, and as long as you do have to do it over again, but it is, you know, it's kind of like the private money lending. It's not as long term, but if you keep that pipeline moving, it'll feel like that. So the negatives of interest. Well, I just said one. Got to keep doing it. So it's really kind of short-term income, and it's still time for money.
So have you ever been like an interest investor versus buy and hold, or have you always been like straight generation to generation to generation?
I've never been an interest investor. But it wasn't because I didn't want to at first. It mostly was because most of the interest properties tend to be on the higher end. The properties that are going to actually be redeemed are typically your better properties. So when I first started, I didn't have the money to, you know, pay $70,000, $80,000 for that, right? So any other negatives that you can think about the interest?
We got non-predictable right now.
Okay.
We got to speed that time up so they still have a conference call.
Okay, got it. All right. Any more negatives? No. For interest? For what?
Non-predictable.
Non-predictable, yep. Right. So my goal with some of these is just to show you your options, and then you decide, because I can't really say what your situation is. So I can't tell you, you know, typically when you first start out, you're going to probably want to do this more. And then as you gain properties and have income, you may want to move to interest. You know, if you have a nice lump sum, then you may want to just go straight to interest. So I think that your I think this could give you a better return, because I think you could get a higher, more than 20% return with this. It's a one-time 20%. This infinity. So All right, so I'm gonna take one more because I heard we gotta, ooh, look at this one. Jesus. Finding contractors. And then the other ones we'll discuss on our conference call. I hate to tell y'all this, but I'm not the best person to tell y'all about finding contractors. So hopefully y'all got some stuff for each other. It's so funny. I was who was I talking to this morning? I was talking to somebody who asked me for a handyman. And I told her that I don't feel comfortable referring contractors, because if I refer you a contractor and that goes south, what you gonna do? You gonna call me and say that person, and even though you know that I'm not that person, you know, some of the pressure is still on me because I referred the person, right? So, and contractors are too unreliable, and so what I want, the observations that I've made over the years, and some of the things that I can tell you is the things that you should do. So where to find the contractors? RIAs. Because if enough people say that contractor is a good contractor, you know, and they go into an organization, then they 9 times out of 10 do good work, because otherwise, you know, the word gets around.
Just to do a plug, since you brought that up, Georgia Women's RIA, you guys know during the course we had Julia Sanders, team member of Georgia Tax Lien.
Thank you.
She owns Georgia Women's RIA. She has Women in Construction Wednesday, October 30th, 6 to 8 p.m. at Total Wine and More, which is right up yonder. And you have the top, you got Danielle Jasmine, one of the top female contractors here, killing the game here in Georgia. So I'll make sure I shoot that information out there to you guys. That is October 30th, 6 to 8 p.m., Total Wine and More, Women in Construction. And I'll send that information out to you all.
Thank you.
So you want to go to RIAs, you want to go to areas where you see rehabs going on, so that you can see the contractors work. Other investors. So these are the ways that I find my contractors. I would be careful with other investors, because if I have a good contractor, 9 times out of 10, I don't want to refer him out. So if they do refer them out, it's like, And also, one thing that it took me a long time to learn is your contractor has to also fit your personality. If you don't, your contractor will disappear. Especially now, because work is so plentiful for contractors. So you want to make sure that, you know, your initial conversation that you have with your contractor, you establish, you know, your communication culture, just making sure that you all will be able to talk to each other, not if, but when things don't go as expected, right? And, you know, contractors, most of the contractors that I've encountered tend to be old-fashioned in thought. So a lot of times they don't feel like a woman should really be telling them what to do or telling them how they want their project. So this is a lot of women that I know that are investors experience this with contractors. So you kind of have to ask the questions, you know, because if I hire a contractor now, that's one of the questions I'm going to ask them is like, do you have a problem working with a woman, or what are your thoughts? Because they're going to say no, but what are your thoughts about working with a woman? So if we get in a situation where your standard way of doing something and I want it done another way. You know, will you have a problem with that? You know, so these are the questions that, you know, how do you manage conflict between you and a client when y'all have opposing views? Like, those are some of the questions you want to ask up front. So after you find them, then you want references. You want to say, can you give me 3 jobs that you've done in the last 3 months? Not the last year, last 3 months. Because good contractors tend to be working all the time. If they're not working, that's a red flag. Right? So you want to get references. You want to call the people and ask them. You know, did they have any problems? Were they satisfied with the work? Can you come see the job? Would they hire that contractor again? Because you have a bad experience with a contractor, you will hurry up and tell somebody, no, I will not. So that's one. You definitely want to have a contract. Like, this is a whole class, right? But I'm just kind of giving y'all, like, we could talk about a half a day on this contract. But you want to have a contract. You want to have a solid contract. And one of the things you want to do is have it spelled out how conflicts are going to be resolved. You know, you want to have spelled out how a payment schedule. And one of the things, one thing right here that I wish I would have paid attention to earlier is if you're not getting a loan to pay the contract, if you're getting a loan to pay the contractor, that comes with a lot of protection, because most of the time the lender is not going to give money until they go out, check the property, they'll give you a draw. But where a lot of people get in trouble is if it's their own money. If it's your own money, you want to treat it just like it's a draw. So you really don't want the contractor to know it's your own money. Now, I ain't telling you to lie, but if you're okay with lying, lie. I got a loan and I got a draw and somebody got to come out here and inspect this, because you don't want it to, it's just like with tenants. You don't want it to be you. Like, oh, I got to inspect this before I pay you, because then there's going to be tension between you and your contractor. And once that tension is there, it's hard to get it to go away, because, you know, now they not showing up days, and, you know, now they ain't answering your phone call. And, you know, one thing about it is, even if a contractor does a good job halfway through and you have to hire another contractor, it's going to cost you way more money. It's not going to cost the balance of that job, because a new contractor is going to come in and say, he did this wrong, he did this wrong, we got to do this over, you know, and I need at least this amount of money to take this job. So, yes, and the time. So you just want to make sure you have your contract. You want to make sure they have insurance.
And you get a copy of their insurance certificate. Yes.
Not only do you want a copy of this, but you want to be added on as an additional insured. So that if they cancel it, because you're an additional insured, they will notify you. So you want to be on the policy as an additional insured. And you want to check it, because people will fake paperwork. So you want to call the numbers on there and verify.
Trust and verify.
Yes. And then those payment schedules. So you don't want to give a contractor, I don't even want to give them half up front. I don't want to give them anything up front. If I'm paying for supplies, you don't need anything up front. You need to do some work and then I pay you, because I've already paid for the supplies, so you haven't come out of your pocket for anything. And we pay for labor after it's done. So that's really what you want to negotiate. Now it's a little hard because contractors have work everywhere. So now they like, oh no, we renegotiating that. So it's just a bit depending on your negotiation skills, what contractor you get, how you're going to do that. but you definitely don't want to be giving half up front, and that's what they're going to ask for, half up front. So I could give you a fourth up front, maybe we could negotiate a third, you know, somewhere in there, but I'm never going to give half up front. Or if I'm buying supplies, I don't want to give anything up front. And if they ask for something up front and you're buying supplies, that's also a red flag. It tells you that they have problem managing their money. Because good contractors like, oh, okay, yeah, I'm cool with that, you know. Or because you're establishing a new relationship, then they may want some type of good faith sign.
Do you have it where you buy supplies and they're trying to use it for another project they have going on?
Yeah, that happens all the time, but there's things that you can do about that as well, which is, let's say, depending on where you get your materials from, but the big boxes like Home Depot, Lowe's, one thing you want to do is get so good at rehabbing, you can estimate most of your materials before you start the job. Then you could put in a bulk order, which would give you a discount, and then they will house your order for you. And then the contractor can just go get stuff as they need it. Now it's kind of hard, like, you know, if they pull out 10 boards of sheetrock and they only use 8, you may not know that. So you definitely have to count that in the cost of doing business. But also you want to look at your receipts, because sometimes you may send a contractor and they may have to buy stuff that you didn't put on there. You just want to check your receipts, because they will put tools on there, beef jerky. You know, I'm not paying for your beef jerky. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm just not doing that. So if you ask me, I have contractors like, could I get me something? Yeah, but don't just let me see it. No, I'm taking that out of your drawer. And they'll put tools on there, all kind of stuff on there. And you like, a drill? Well, I'm buying drills. So that's what I can say about that.
I've been to a seminar Systematizing Rehab with Stacey Rossetti. She has a South Atlanta REIA, and one thing that she stresses that she has spreadsheets for contractors. So she has a meeting like, hey, this is what I want in my properties. She already have a list of doorknobs.
That's a spec sheet.
Spec sheets. So you pretty much want to have a system when you're communicating with these contractors. So the contractors don't come into this project doing what they want to do. So from the front, you want to set the expectations of each contractor, and you want to go from there.
One of the things I do for my flips too, I create a vision board that basically has everything I want to put in the house. So even if I don't have a spec sheet, they know, like, you know, this is the look of the house. So if they come and put something in there that I didn't do, then they have to cover the cost of renewing it and do what I do.
Exactly.
How much involvement needs to be, like, in that contractor process? Like, do I go there every day, go there another day?
Absolutely.
You know what I'm saying?
You want to go to your property every day. Now, that's where most people fall, is because that's hard to do. But if you don't, many days, they're not going to be there either. But if you go, they know you coming, then they're going to be there as well. Or, you know, they may, like me, I like floors to go in last, period. Some people will put their floors in first. I don't like that because they get dirty, they get scratched up. I just don't like that because they cost so much. So, you know, like I had a job where the guy decided to put the floors in first. We had already agreed that wasn't going to happen. So, guess what he had to do? Take them floors right back up. But I wouldn't have known, and that's what he was counting on. If, you know, so you definitely want to go. And some people go every other day. I mean, I think that's still good, but don't be like once a week, or, you know, you only go when it starts, and then, you know, when it's time to pay, you go walk through. Because a lot of things, in a walkthrough you won't catch the first time, and they know that, and now you didn't gave them the money.
So for our investors that are not local, like you bought your property in Detroit, the young lady that was my private investor, she was adamant about doing video conferences with me. She was in Las Vegas, so she did those video conferences with me every third day. And then I had to provide set reports. So she was, so I'm in there. So that's one of the things that you might want to consider doing with your out-of-town projects. So like I said, she did video conferences with me on that project. I had to take the photos. I had to provide a detailed list of what I spent. Really pictures. She had to rely on pictures and video conference. But the key thing was we had built that relationship though.
You got pictures of me up here.
So how does that work?
You got pictures of me up here teaching. You got pictures of me.
We want to do something that's far away from us, and we do get a property and we start rehabbing. What are some suggestions for somebody like us that we get a property in the cab this month or whatever, and when it's time to start rehabbing, we can't be here.
You need a project manager.
So that's.
So you're gonna have to count that in the cost of your deal.
Project.
Yeah.
And is there a suggestion for what route to try to find a project manager like you're supposed to like?
It's the same as the contract. You gotta go to RIAs, other investors, so that at least somebody else knows that.
Is that website good? Is that lady's name that you can find everything?
Angie's List?
Yeah.
It's hit or miss.
Okay. So
it's better than Craigslist, but it's still hit or miss.
Right.
Yeah.
So okay. So same as.
Yeah.
And last thing about project manager. Is it a contract we would have to write up with that person? Like, are they in a company and then we would have to pay them like we're paying an employee weekly? We're cutting them a check out of our business. So is it something that we say, hey, while this project is being rehabbed, I'll give you a quarter of $2,000 for the job?
It's negotiable.
Is that how that works?
Yeah, I would pay them in draws too. Because it's exactly so that way they manage the contractor. That's what they're supposed to do, and so they get paid when the contractor has done a good job. So I would pay them like that, but it's negotiable. It's like no set standard to it,
But remember, one of the things that I got in trouble with maybe the first time around was, you want this project done. This is your project. And yet you have to rely on that contractor or those contractors to do the work. Don't get in a mindset that this is their job, because they'll switch it on you real quick to act like this is their job. And you're paying them. So I created the contract. So there was someone, like Chantel said, in my contract, it took me 3 times to figure it out that I own this project and they work for me with the W-9. And with that, within my contract, here's what was negotiable, here's what we can talk about. But I had to come in, especially as a female, to demand that this is my project, not your project. I take feedback from you, I take your recommendations, but at the end of the day, if you can't work within the confines of this contract here, and we can't come to some type of agreement, it's time for me to move on, because there's 100,000 more contractors out there.
You want to investor-friendly contractor, because people who are used to working with homeowners tend to be kind of like out of the process. The contractor tells them, this is what you need to do, this is the material you need to use, and bam, But with investors, we have more control, and so you want to find a contractor who's used to that and not necessarily a retail homeowner.
Is that something in the initial conversation?
Yes, you want ask them that. Have you worked with investors? You know, or do you primarily work with homeowners? And I probably would ask that question that way first. Do you primarily work with homeowners before they even know you're an investor? Because that's when you're gonna get the truth. Like, they know you're an investor, they're gonna tell you that. So one of the things that you want to do is get a home inspection. So the home inspection is going to list out everything that needs to be done on the home, everything that's wrong with the home. So that way,
Just like when you're buying a house?
Yeah.
The same kind of inspection?
Yes. So that way, you know already, you're not reliant on the contractor to tell you what needs to be done. Right? So you get a home inspection first, and then from that home inspection, you need to learn how to create a scope of work. It took me a long time to learn how to do this. This is, for me, one of the what I see people struggle with, what I struggle with, is to go into the house and say, you know, in this room I want this done, and write a detailed list. But one of the ways you can do it is the same way that Dee said, go to the house and take video. Just record everything in the house and then go back home, because it's hard to create a scope of work when you're in the house. This takes a long time. By that time, you're starting to skip over stuff. Go back home and watch that video and start writing down stuff. And then you want to have they have generic scope of works, which doesn't have the prices on it, but it has everything that you can do in the house. So, you know, from demo to roofing to structural to framing to plumbing, all your mechanicals to, you know, flooring, cabinetry, all of that, right? You can Google that. They have those everywhere. Yeah, well, yes, scope of work or a rehab scope of work, but it's another one that they use, like a deal analysis or a deal analysis sheet. But basically, it's giving you every aspect of a house. So then when you're sitting down to write your scope of work, you're using that as a template to say, okay, as I'm looking at this picture, I definitely know I'm gonna have to do demo. I definitely know I'm gonna have some structural work. I'm gonna have to call in an engineer. You know, I'm gonna have to get some permits. You know, I'm gonna have to get a new roof. So that way you're creating the scope of work. And you also have your inspection, because your inspection is going to tell you what you need as well. So then you're arming yourself with enough information to know what the house is going to need, so that when the contractor come in, you like, here go my scope of work. Can you tell me how much this is going to cost, right? Because the contractor is not going to find everything the inspector going to find, because they're not going to go under the crawl space. They're not going to go in the attic. They just going to walk around and say, oh yeah, this is a rehab job. You know, 40,000.
So we don't compare with the, okay, I got it. But we don't compare with the contractor will tell you.
You could, so you could say, you could do that too. You could say, give me an estimate. You could not even tell them that you have a scope of work. You say, give me an estimate. And then you could look at what they're saying to even gauge, like, if they understand what's going on, right? And then you could come back and say, okay, here go my scope of work. Give me a price on that. Because you always want to know, because see, what they'll do is you have your scope of work and your inspector has gone under the crawl space and they know that, you know, you need to replace the joist, right? The contractor doesn't have that in his estimate. So you know what he's going to do? He's going to wait till he get in the job and say, oh, by the way, you got rotten floor joists. So we didn't add that in my estimate. Now I need to add that in. And you stuck, because you know they need to be done. So now he's gonna have a change order, which is gonna increase. But if you know that ahead of time, then he has to tell you what the price of that's gonna be ahead of time. Because it's always gonna be more after the fact. So
about 5 minutes.
All right, and then a spec sheet. A spec sheet is wonderful if you're an investor, right? You create a spec sheet one time and use it all over and over and over again. Your spec sheet is going to tell you what roof you use on every house, what door you use on every house, what doorknobs, what lights, what fixtures, what faucets, what everything, what flooring. And you can have choices, you know, you can have 3 or 4 choices of flooring. You can have 5 colors of paint. So then when you talk to your contractor, you say, these are the ones that I want to use. Here go my spec sheet. So it's no question, he doesn't have...
So I was asking, so we would create that as a spreadsheet?
Yes, you can, I mean, however...
Find the scope of work, I guess that's where we would create the spec sheet.
This,
scope of work.
so yes, you could do that too. But this is gonna be the same no matter what house you're doing. Because this is what's gonna always let you be able to control your costs. Like, you know how much doors from Home Depot cost. Or if you find a mill, you know how much that mill is going to charge you for that door and that trim. So when you're doing your measurements in that house, you already know the cost of that. So a contractor can't say, oh yeah, I can get that for you, and then add 25% on top of the cost of materials. So you already know your cost of materials. So as you're creating your spec sheet, so a lot of investors use Home Depot. There's some pros and cons, but if you go to Home Depot, you can get the SKU number, the cost, and you know what you're going to use, and then you just always have that. There is, I haven't used it in so long, I haven't done a rehab in so long, but I think it is called the Ultimate Rehabber Tool or something like that. I have to find it and give it to y'all, but it comes with like a sample scope of work and a place for you to have a spec sheet, and then you can add what you want in it. It even comes with costs from different places. So it's a really good tool. I love it. I just haven't used it in a while, but you can use that as well. So all right, y'all. These people gonna kick us out.
We get a group picture in front right there.
But before we do that, we want in. We're not done yet.
We not done yet?
No.
Oh, okay. What we need?
The next event. So you got a couple of due outs.
Oh.
So I know you guys have more questions that did not get answered, and you're not done with the contracting portion, are you?
I think we are. I don't have too much else to say on that.
Okay.
Unless they want to add something.
So what I'll do is look at our remaining questions. You guys' next conference call is on the 11th of December. It is on Zoom. Danielle, in the initial email that I sent out to you guys, you should have received the Zoom. The 11th of December, 7 p.m. to 8 p.m. And what I'll do is resend out the Zoom link. December the 11th from 7 to 8 p.m. And we'll caveat on answering the remaining questions. And if you have, this should be it as far as the where we are right now.
Are y'all coming to our anniversary party? It's November 19th. Did y'all get the invites? Y'all have to check y'all spam.
Yeah, I did. Keep the spam. I didn't see one.
It's November 19th. We're celebrating our students. It's our 2nd year anniversary, but on our anniversary we celebrate our students. We're going to be getting out.
You down there?
Florida, Florida, 2 miles from Florida.
We understand y'all live far if y'all can't make it. We gonna see what we can do next year and coming down south to see what we can do. But check your spam. And if you don't see it, just reach out to us and we'll send you the link.
I'm gonna be here. Yeah, be there.
Yeah.
It's gonna be?
At our headquarters right here, perimeter.
Right.
Yeah. We'll have food, drinks. It's free for the students, and prizes, awards. We'll have student awards.
Student of the Year award. Students that's been innovative with their strategic investing process. So it is definitely going to be awesome. And just a caveat on what Chantel was telling you, I know the company's been stretched thin trying to service so many people that want to learn about tax-lien investing. So just to have come down to you guys' location a couple of months ago was awesome. So that's definitely, hopefully, in our horizon for us for 2020. But I want to at least acknowledge for this Mastermind event that was put on for you guys. I know the team, we learned something. This whole gist about really what a mastermind is. So I hope partly you guys got something out of it. Because I don't think, Chantel, you guys know that she's actually part of several mastermind organizations. And just being connected to her to truly understand what a mastermind is, you guys have to realize that you have to have gone through so many levels and steps to get to be a mastermind. So not to take it lightly and not even to brag and boast
That's what you're doing.
No, because I'm saying you don't tap into it, and we're part of the team. And you see, the team members, we're not just asking questions because we want to ask questions. We're asking questions because we don't know. So we're on some point same level as you guys, trying to tap into a mastermind that's in the real estate investing world. So I hope you guys take advantage of that. So please be on that call on December 11th for those that can participate in the anniversary, because it is for you. She made that point clear. It is purely for you guys. So hopefully you guys can.
And seating is limited. And I think we're about halfway filled up, so it's like 60 people.
The conference call, is it going to be recorded? You're going to be at the country. Is it going to be recorded? Like we can actually tune in and listen or anything like that?
So what I'll do is sort of make an exception, but I won't say that. But it is. I don't like to do that, but offline, we can definitely get together before you guys leave here tonight.
And y'all still got a lunch.
Oh yeah, what's up with that? Where's Danielle?
So
she live in Texas.
We'll talk about your luncheon as well once you guys step around. So I just want to thank you for putting this together. But thank you for even asking.
Thank y'all.
Thank you for even asking for it. I know Charlie is very adamant, but before I turn it over to Charlie for us to take some group pictures, you had anything to say?
Not really.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
I thought we were supposed to get our videos.
Everybody didn't give us a testimony.
They told us, and this is what we got in the in this email. It says.
Oh, did it?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Well, y'all get them. I don't always know what's going on. So you know.
So operations will. Let me put this up. Operations have not forgotten about you guys. It is extensive to go through the 4 days of video footage that Charlie, One Man Show, has to pull together and make sure that we're not having. Already had somebody to say, hey, you guys sent the video to us and it wasn't clear as far as audio. So we just want to make sure we're providing you guys the best product, so you're not calling back saying, hey, that's not something that's great for us. So from an operation standpoint, those.
What videos do they get?
Due diligence, the real estate math.
They get 3 videos.
Never mind.
Yeah.
Cause you gonna make up something, and then they gonna say, "Oh yeah, Charlie said."
So from operations perspective, yes, I will be getting those. Charlie and I are working together to try to get you guys those videos.
All right.
I've not forgotten that.
All right, y'all. Well, I enjoyed myself, and I hope y'all had it good. Thank you. Thank you. So where you want us for the picture?
Right here. If everybody can line up right here.
Dang, they done took down the board and everything. Yeah, we want our mastermind board.